Every story you've ever loved is built of moments. Moments that someone chose, someone thought would resonate. For every moment that is found and makes it into that final cut, there are many that are left on the cutting room floor, not because they weren't meant to be there, but because no one looked at them. The supply of creative video is higher than it's ever been, but it's not enough to keep up with the pace of demand. Think about how much easier it is to shoot a video than ever before. Once you needed an expensive film camera and a very custom lens, but now you have phones in your pocket, cheaper cameras. But the demand for actually filming something creative and knowing what's a good shot has not changed. It's cheaper to store video than ever before, so you have larger and larger archives, but the demand to knowing what's worth seeing has not changed. On the other side, it's gotten easier and easier to edit video, democratizing the ability to create good content. But being able to tell what is the good shot and what makes a good edit has not changed. And it's easier to distribute video than ever before. Digital platforms have made it easy to get virality, but it still has to be good. In this entire process, the creative is still in charge, even though the tools have gotten easier and easier. But one bottleneck has survived all this: finding what you're looking for. You can have a bigger archive, but that just actually compounds the struggle to find something good in it. We've noticed with a lot of our large customers that they're sitting on a wealth of video that people want to see, stories just waiting to be found. But the difficulty in pulling out what's good in it remains. Video is scrubbed at real time. To find the needle in the haystack, you got to watch this whole thing over and over and over again, and that just doesn't scale. When we look at today's media environment, rights holders have more content than ever. Sports teams, brand vaults, documentary filmmakers. But they're not able to keep pace with the demand fans have for content. A lot of their archive is sitting dormant just because the time it takes to review it is one-to-one with the time it takes to watch it. In this environment, a lot of views are accumulating not to rights holder themselves, but to fan edits. And this is a threat that we have seen a lot of enterprises face. The sports game is watched once, their highlight reels are watched once, but fans keep taking those edits, remixing them, creating more content. And while that's great for brand identity, you have less control of the content and the stories you want to tell. UGC has eaten the lunch of big creative studios. This is not something that they should fear, but something that they should be able to enter. They should be able to tell more of those stories because they have the creative ideas to tell them. But unlocking those dormant archives has been a key burden. So that's why we've built Rodeo. Rodeo is designed as a creative copilot, built to solve that problem that doesn't scale. Rodeo is not designed to take away your creative judgment. It is designed to exemplify the creative capabilities you have. It's designed to assist you in finding the story that's in your head. Rodeo is built on TwelveLabs' video foundation models. It's important to note that while video foundation models are a type of AI, it's not the same kind of AI that a lot of people think about. When we look at a lot of the AI-generated videos today, the standard response is there's a lot of AI slop. That's not the environment that we want to get into. This is not a generative video tool. This is a video understanding assistant. The goal of AI here is to free you up so that you can be more creative. Our mission is enough of AI slop, more AI gourmet. Stop spending your time scrubbing footage and start directing. The AI exists to help you free up your time, to take care of the drudgery that is a drain on your creative potential. We don't want to replace creatives. We want to free them to be more creative than ever before.
Ryan just walked through the work that doesn't scale. Searching, not cutting. Logging, not telling the story. The job that breaks first when an archive grows. That's the problem we set out to solve when we started building Marengo 4 years ago. I want to be very careful about the words I use here. We didn't sit down and say, let's build a video AI. That phrase doesn't actually mean much once you have to ship something. It's too broad to optimize for and too vague to know what you actually have to do to be successful. The bet was much more specific. We wanted to make a content owner's archive searchable with the kind of fidelity where you don't miss the needle. Studios, networks, sports right holders, brand vaults, agency libraries, the most valuable footage in the world. And the thing nobody had solved was getting to the right moment inside it without sending someone in to watch every minute and write down what they saw. The industry had been hiring people to remember footage for 30 years. That answer was running out. So Marengo was built around moment retrieval. You describe what you are looking for, the model finds the moments in the footage that match. And by what's there, I mean what's actually on the screen and on the audio. The way a person who watched it would actually understand it. Not what someone tagged it as like 5 years ago, not the keyword in the script, what's actually there. That distinction matters more than it sounds like it should. Most of what's been called video AI in the last few years is just actually a transcript AI. Read the words, ignore the picture, call it understanding. For a podcast or a panel, that's fine. But for sports, for brand campaigns, for unscripted television, anything where the camera is doing real work, the story is in what's shown. A goal that's never described, a product placement that was never mentioned, a reaction that lands the scene. The hardest footage to find your story in it is precisely the footage transcript cannot help with. Marengo also isn't just video. It holds video, image, audio, text, and supporting documents in a single search space. If a team asks for one question, the system reaches across all of them at once. That unification matters because real footage doesn't separate cleanly. The story isn't what's in, what's said, what's written on a site, what's in the production notes, those things all together. If a model treats those as separate problems, the story falls onto seams between them. I want to be very careful when I describe Marengo because it would be easy for me to oversell it. Marengo isn't a general purpose video model that does everything. It's just one model built for a specific one job, the hardest job in the chain. And now it does that job at a level you can rely on. That's a 4-year answer to a 4-year question. For the most of last 4 years, we shipped Marengo solely as an API. That was the right shape for the model's first stage. It put the capability in the hands of developers, people who could build with it, push it, tell us what was breaking when they tried to put it inside something real. A lot of people did exactly that. Tools got built that would have been impossible if it was like a decade ago. We are genuinely proud of that work. But we knew the model could do more than what an API by itself surfaces. There is a specific gap that opens up between what the model is capable of and what video producer using the model actually feels. An API reaches an engineer, but an archive sits with a producer, a marketing lead, sports operation team, and a brand manager. The work of bridging from one to the other isn't a wrapper on the API. It is its own discipline. And it is not the discipline I am best at. As a model builders, we don't get to assume we know what that work looked like at the desk where the footage actually gets used. For 3 years since Marengo's first public release, we have seen watching teams take the API and try to build internal tools on top of it. Most of what we learned wasn't about the model itself. It was about the gap, about what an application has to take care of so that the capability of the model actually shows up in someone's job. That observation is what made Rodeo necessary. A product was the right answer to it. Rodeo is powered by Marengo at its core. The retrieval, the multimodal understanding, the search space across video, image, audio, and text, all of that is Marengo. Around it, Rodeo is the layer we could not ship as an API.
Dan just showed you what Marengo can do. I want to take a step back and talk about applications. There's a specific thing that happened when ChatGPT launched, and it had nothing to do with the technology. The models had been there for years. Researchers knew what they could do. The capability was real before the launch. What changed was that a person sitting at a desk could type something. You didn't need to be a researcher or super technical. You just typed. That moment of discovery made the technology's potential real. Not real in the academic sense, real in the sense that someone who had never written a line of code suddenly understood what was now possible. That moment is what made AI a different kind of question for everyone. Video, unfortunately, hasn't had that moment yet. Not because the models aren't ready. Dan just showed you what ours can do. The capability is here. It has been here for a while. But understanding a capability and feeling what it means for your work are two completely different experiences. The gap between them is exactly where most technology disappears. A model can be in the world. The benchmarks can be impressive. And the people who would benefit from it the most never come close to actually using it. Closing that gap end to end was a deliberate choice for us. You can solve one part of the funnel and create a fraction of the value because the next bottleneck is still sitting there, waiting to swallow the gain. It's only when the whole workflow is redesigned around what the AI actually makes possible that the benefits compound. We knew that, and Rodeo is us acting on it. The original premise of TwelveLabs was simple, and it hasn't changed. AI should understand video the way a human watching it does, not just extract metadata from it, not just detect or transcribe what's said and call that understanding, but actually understand. Visual context, temporal flow, the relationship between what's seen and what's heard. We have spent years building toward that. Rodeo is the moment we ask a different question. What does it feel like when someone who isn't a developer, who isn't writing API calls, gets to experience that directly? That's what an application is for us. It's the form factor in which the capability finally meets the person whose work it was always meant to change. Now, I want to be clear about one thing. We're not changing our direction. We are manufacturing a moment. The model is the same underneath every application we build. The model is what we've been building for years. The application is what makes it real for a specific community. Rodeo makes it real for the people who own and tell stories from footage. We think the moment we saw with ChatGPT, the moment that made language AI real for everyone, is coming for video, and we are the ones who will make it happen.
So I'm going to walk you through today on what Rodeo can do. And this live demo will show you some of the capabilities that are live today, and I hope give you a glimpse into what this product will provide going forward.
So let's see how Rodeo works in action. When you first log into Rodeo, you see a blank page and it says, start uploading your footage. So for this demo, we're going to upload a variety of footage from NASA and B-roll about spaceflight. I just drag my video clips in. I have 38 videos, just over 2 hours in total, and I click upload. Very quickly, Rodeo starts uploading my videos and getting and generating insights about what's going on inside of them. This allows us to start off from a point where we understand what's happening. Rodeo builds that trust by showing you what it's learned from your videos and providing you with actionable insights that you can use to craft your story. So we're just going to let that upload for a second, and very quickly we'll start seeing some of these insights generate. Now that our footage is all in, we see our media focus. As mentioned, I uploaded videos about human spaceflight. Rodeo has correctly identified what the distribution of the footage is, organizing it, telling me what's inside, and giving me actionable insights. So the dominant thing is Apollo era missions. I have footage about the Artemis cruise, astronaut training, and then various B-roll about Mars exploration, the space station, mission control, and other videos. So with that, I can start going through this and starting off my story. So I just come down here and I describe. Create me a fast-paced highlight about the Apollo missions and their history. I just click enter, and very quickly, Rodeo starts scouring my footage and creating me a story to tell. We're just going to let that generate for a second, and we'll continue editing. Now we see Rodeo has pulled a clip montage and put it for me to play. I can quickly watch and see what's been pulled and the story that's trying to be told. But maybe this isn't the one that I want to tell. Well, I can just start describing what I want to change. I want it faster paced, opening on moments on the moon, and add clips at the end, connecting the Apollo missions to the Artemis launch. And then I just click enter, and we'll see the new story get made. Rodeo understands the intent that I'm describing and helps me scour through hours of footage and find exactly what I need. So we'll just give that a second and let that find all of the clips and make the necessary edits for me. As we see here, Rodeo has responded to my instructions and updated it, not only keeping the original clips, but adding additional clips from the start, adding a launch sequence from Artemis, extending the overall time, but still keeping it a tight 40-second video. This shows how Rodeo learns and responds to human intent, allowing you to build videos faster. But it would just be simple if I was using all the same kind of footage. What about if I made the knowledge store more complicated? Well, let's go home and add some additional videos. Now I'm going to add some gaming videos. Maybe a League of Legends stream and a Dark and Darker stream. Just more variety of content that kind of muddles the ability for just more additional videos that muddle the ability for the system to know what I'm saying and just see how well Rodeo categorizes all of my content. So it's adding that to the original corpus, and very quickly we'll see it update the description of what's in there. Now we see that the space content has dropped to only 85 to 90% of the corpus, and the model has correctly identified another distinct cluster of gaming and streamer footage. It's pulled out what the main aspects of these clips are, long-form streams or multi-stream compilations. And this helps us identify what kind of stories we can tell with the additional footage. So let's try to make a fast-paced gaming montage featuring the funniest moments. And then let the model find the relevant clips, knowing to exclude all of the work that came from the space videos. This allows us to add more and more videos, but still have a reasonable understanding of what the groups are and be precise with our intentional searches. So we've got an 18-second clip made, finding 3 moments. We can start describing further edits, add additional moments to the end, make them filled with action. And then we just let it run. See, so from the direction of just adding additional moments filled with action, we've gotten these 2 additional clip sequences pulled out. A little bit longer pace to result in an overall 3-minute video, pulling out what could be useful and funny for an end user. When you're happy with the video you've created, you just click export, and you can export to either MP4 or professional formats like EDL, OTIO, or XML, allowing you to hand off to an NLE seamlessly and finish up in the software of your choice. This allows you to create a lot more videos under your explicit direction, working with large corpuses, and never missing a moment that you like.
This is not an autopilot. This is a copilot. It is helping you find ideas faster. But again, you are making the creative decision at every step in the process. Rodeo is not a replacement for your NLE. Rodeo is solving a gap between video storage and getting onto the timeline. We want to make that process as quick and seamless as possible, allowing you to not leave more stories on the cutting room floor, not leaving more drives unexplored, but really taking full advantage of all that you've already shot. 3 core mechanics are discovery, organize, and create. With discovery, you can type in natural language query. Find me all the clips of this player dunking. Find me all the clips of our main characters kissing. You can organize. Organize by actions. I want all of the sequences of people fighting grouped so that I can reuse that later, explore it in more detail. I want all of the moments where a certain character is sad. Make a group, use that. That is now accessible for all future projects. And then create. Put out your script and say scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, rising action, tension, conclusion. Or, hey, I just need a sizzle reel. I just need a trailer. Inspire me. Both of those are starting points to help you get something onto the timeline, and then you can iterate and refine from there.
You just saw 3 different briefs pulled from the same archive, 3 different stories. What teams are doing with this in the wild is what I want to tell you about now. The most interesting feedback we're getting from beta isn't about speed. It's about what speed makes possible. Teams are telling us this is way faster, but rather they're telling us we shipped a social cut while the moment was still trending. We finally activated 5 years of footage we'd had on a hard drive. Our marketing team stopped waiting on it, editors. We got back to the cadence the audience has been waiting for. Now that last one matters, cadence. The rhythm at which an audience expects content from you. When you have to wait 3 weeks to find a clip, you fall out of cadence with that moment. By the time the cut ships, the conversation has moved on. The audience has moved on. A piece of content arrives, but the moment it was made for is already gone. What we're watching is the velocity gap closing in real time. And the teams figuring this out first are quietly outpacing the ones still waiting for the perfect tagging system. Same archive, same headcount, but different output cadence, different volume of stories told, different relationship with the audience. What we hear underneath all of that from the most innovative team is that this changes more than the workflow. It changes the relationship between an archive and the audience that wants it. And if you accept that premise, where this goes longer term is pretty straightforward. The line between describing what you want and seeing what you want gets thinner over time. The editor, the producer, the marketing need, they don't disappear, but rather they become more important, more creative, more central. The infrastructure of finding fades into the background. The people who own the work get to spend their time thinking about the story instead of looking for it. The bigger reality is this. There is more video being created right now than any moment in human history. And most of what's worth seeing is sitting in archives with no real way to find what's inside them at the speed the audience expects. Studios, brands, sports rights holders, communities that have never had a logging system in their lives. The math of who gets to tell which story changes when finding becomes free. A team of 3 with the right tooling can move at the speed of a team of 30 without it. An independent maker who could never afford a logging system can now compete with a studio that can. A brand can answer cultural moments in hours instead of weeks. A sports rights holder can pull every relevant moment from 20 years of game footage in the time it used to take to find just one. New kinds of stories become possible, but old kinds of stories get told by people who couldn't tell them before. Rodeo is one application of this idea. It is the first time we have taken our technology directly to teams who need it. And we intend to keep doing that. What you have seen today is a foundation, not a finish line. There are more communities, more applications, more bottlenecks worth closing. For every one of them, the same principle holds. The capability is here. The question is whether someone packages it in a form a person can truly experience its full potential.
Upload once, use forever. Every moment is endlessly searchable, endlessly remixable, and endless amount of stories can be created out of them. The whole pitch of Rodeo is that the more footage you upload, the more we understand, the more we can help, and the more we can unblock. You have a lot of creative potential. You have a lot of stories to tell. You have a lot of videos in your archive. Help us unlock the value of that footage so that you can tell more stories than ever before.